Sorry about that. My battery went dead and I had to plug in, so I thought I'd stop and have something to eat and then come back to it. Here's the last page, I think 2 pages, and page and a half or whatever, that you missed on chapter 4. So this is the continuation of chapter 4, the last snapshot. And it started, they were talking about, Hans and Rolf were talking about Rolf's father's mysterious death. So I'm going to pick up kind of where we left off. Or maybe. What page is it? Hans broke eye contact and pulled in his mouth at the corners, hesitating. Okay. He lowered his voice to a lighter whisper. A day before he disappeared, they came back to check the paintings in the vault at the National Gallery. Of course, it was empty. Empty compared to all this. But they found a few Jewish paintings on the bottom of a shipment going to a museum in Scotland, or perhaps England. His eyes glassy with a combination of shock and astonishment, Rolf asked, "My father shipped out Jewish paintings against orders?" He knew the risk, Rolf. He knew procedures required him to send them out for destruction or destroy them here, but he did neither. He had a strong belief that God would protect him. I think all told there were only a half a dozen that came through, but he said the Nazis were insane and he wasn't about to destroy valuable artwork. I should have figured as much. Rolf felt the arteries throbbing in his neck. Suddenly it dawned on him that his father's decision not to obey Nazi regulations must have cost him his life. He gasped, his hand over his mouth. Then that warning from the scrawny little messenger Brutzgeller flickered like a beacon in his head. Do you want to end up like your father, Herr Brandt? Glancing over at Hans, a slight glint in his eyes, Rolf queried, "You helped him, didn't you, Hans?" "No." "Tell me the truth, you must have." "I'm telling you the truth, Hans. I'm not going to tell anyone. It's my father we're talking about." Hans gestured several times to remind Rolf to keep a lower voice. "Okay, all right. Yes, I helped him. A little." "I knew it! Do you have any connections in Warsaw?" Hans moved closer to the wall, his cheek almost touching it. "I quit the underground after what happened to your father. Most of them are gone now, shipped off to concentration camps. But I do know one, maybe 2, who are still around. But they're in Berlin." The underground? Ralph felt his heart stop. Everything was happening too fast. "Yep. Joseph Weinstein worked with the underground," Hans whispered, zipping up his jacket and smashing out a cigarette. "He disappeared a few days before your father." "What else do you know about my father's murder, Hans?" "They keep records." "Who? What do you mean?" "On everything. Even when they kill people, the party keeps a record." "And?" "There should be a file on your father." "Where?" Hans swept his hand across his throat and pointed at the vault door again. "This is dangerous business. Better forget it." He held up his right hand to Rolf's face and wiggled his stub. "You could lose a few fingers if you're caught snooping around." "Where do they keep the records?" "Are you sure?" "Absolutely." NSDAP headquarters. And that comes to an end for chapter 4. And so I hope you enjoyed that and you kind of see where we're going with this. You've met Rolf and Hans, who ends up being his best friend. And I hope you go on with the book. It is available on Amazon if you would like to purchase the Kindle version or the paperback. You can get those on Amazon. They're not very expensive. I'd really appreciate your support. If you know anybody looking for a really good film I think this, according to my readers, would make an excellent Hollywood film. So that's my ultimate goal, is to have this book put into a film. And I'm hoping somebody out there sees this video and does me the favor of sending a book, The Last Snapshot or something, or calling somebody or whatever to someone they know in Hollywood. Okay, well, thank you so much. Have a great evening. It's evening now, and we'll chat with you next time. See ya.